Hello, my name is John Rose, and in this video we're going to take a closer look at just one of the many things they don't teach our so-called experts in the fields of medicine and nutrition, which has to do with our health. We'll start with nutrition first. There are 3 cycles of food: consumption, absorption, elimination. They don't teach the elimination. What's in the food? What's in the food? Don't teach the elimination. Now let's take a look at medicine. What do they teach medicine? Well, our body is nothing but a bunch of cells, and then there's 2 fluids. There's blood and lymph. That's our kitchen and the bathroom. They don't teach our so-called medical experts the bathroom. And guess what? That's why it's so important. Why don't they teach them that? Well, it's because they want us to be sick. And what happens if we don't know how that system works? Then we don't know what to do about what we got, because that's what determines what we got. This is where most of our problems come from physically, which of course is connected to everything else, so it compounds and creates all the other problems. And this whole process begins when the bathroom backs up. It's when the lymph system backs up, and it can only back up into all of the cells that it surrounds. So the most obvious suspect when we want to look at what's causing our problems is what we are surrounded by. What are we swimming in? What are we floating in? What are our cells floating in? Interstitial fluid, blood and lymph. Don't study the lymph. Don't study the bathroom. Don't study the elimination system. Why? Because that's where it's coming from. It's so simple to get rid of most of our problems when we start doing a cleanse. That's why the very first of my 3-step process addresses that, because I know that's where many of our problems lie. If you damage your arm, you scratch or whatever, what's the first thing you do to make sure it heals? You clean it up, right? Well, we got to clean up our insides. Our lymph system, we have an acid buildup inside of us, and the more of it we have, the more obvious it is, the more tumors we have, the faster you want to get rid of that. You don't want to waste your time and say, oh, I'll just use the slow speed. No, you got fast speed or slow speed, then you turn it off. What are you going to do? Are you going to get rid of that acid, dangerous acid condition that we have, this buildup, this acid condition, this acid buildup in our waste system? Our waste is acid. Waste matter everywhere is about 3 pH. And that's what we do when our cells eliminate. And we're not getting rid of it. So it's a very acidic pool of very dangerous waste that's going to poison us if it backs up. And that's what happens. That's the disease process. I go into the 2 short-term self-limited diseases and the 4 long-term stages of the diseases in both of my videos, Healing Secrets Revealed and Medicine is the Ultimate Tool of Control. And that's because we couldn't be controlled if we were healthy. When we're at this level of sickness, there's something really wrong with us. We have something wrong with us. Look at our history. All you have to do is pick up any history book or newspaper or turn the TV on or radio on and listen to the news, and it becomes very obvious something is wrong with our species. Now here's a convenient way to get out of it. Well, we are the product of aliens and we're programmed, so we are programmed to be this way, so it's not my fault I have a dark side of my behavior. Be wary of anything that takes away your responsibility. We create this part of our behavior. That's why it's referred to throughout history. We got to correct it. We got to change our mentality. We got to get rid of this acid waste that's building up, because that's what's driving us crazy. The things we do to have an acid buildup in our lymph system is the same thing we do, the same type of damage or the same negative effect that we get, which is many negative effects from the first big mistake we made, is now we destroyed the nutrient that makes us feel connected. And so these are 2 huge contributing factors right there to the dark side of our behavior. We're not connected to everything like we should be, because the first mistake we made destroyed a nutrient that feeds one of our senses, a biophoton. I've talked about this many times, and you're going to hear more about it, because this is why we struggle. We have a low biophoton level. We don't feel connected. And that creates fear. And then fear destroys our ability to clearly see what's wrong, and we can't change what we don't acknowledge. So this is part of our problem. These are obstacles that we have to overcome. And the easiest way to overcome all of them is just do something you haven't done before so you can see what you are missing. Because none of us are really in a position to evaluate what we're doing and what we need to do until we do the right thing. But if we do that and we say, okay, I believe we got this acid condition in our body, our waste, we got too much in there, so let's clean it out. I'll try the slow speed. Well, good luck. That's really difficult to do because you're going to be tempted to go the other way too easily. The easiest way to control things that are controlling us is to take back control completely. And it's interesting how we make up all these excuses why we don't want to do this. Because we're really battling who we are. It's almost like we got to destroy part of who we are to become a better person. And what I mean by that is that you can't step in the same body twice like you can't step in the same river twice. We're always building a new body. And if we're not doing it the right way, we're accumulating more acid built up in our body, more crud inside our colon even. There could be garbage everywhere. And these are the things that we got to get clean, just like if we cut ourselves, you got to clean it first. If you want to get healthy, if you want to address a tumor, if you want to get rid of the uric acid in your joints, you got to get rid of the garbage everywhere. Think of this acid, dangerous acid pool as being some dirt on your rug in your living room. You got a vacuum cleaner. It has 2 speeds, high and slow. High speed, slow speed. Now, if you've got tumors that can have the potential to damage something, which is what happens, you got to think about it. You got an acid pool that's 50,000 times hotter than our blood. When it touches healthy cells, it burns them, it damages them, just like chemotherapy and radiation does, and they know those things cause cancer. Anything that can damage a cell is going to cause cancer. So when we have an acid buildup, if we got a tumor, we've got a potential cancer happening if it gets too close to certain things. So we got to get rid of it fast. Think of it as garbage on your dirt on your rug in your living room. You got a vacuum cleaner. You're gonna come over here and put it on high speed and then control to turn it, making sure you don't turn the machine off. Or you're gonna try slow speed, and then you're gonna be tempted to turn the machine off all the time. The way you control things and make sure you don't turn the machine off is through the high speed. You see, it's easier, but we don't think it is, and then it takes a little bit of time to do it. But I'm telling you, you don't want to. If you want to heal the body, if you want to get rid of this garbage, you got to stop wasting energy. That's why every other animal knows what to do in nature. It's the first step in solving our problems because it addresses our main problem, which addresses gluttony. Watch The First Step to Paradise, where I explain Tolstoy's essay when he translated a certain book called The Ethics of Diet by Howard Williams into Russian and then wrote a preface to that book, 25-page, and I told about that story in that video. I'll provide a link down below in the description box. And you can see that it only makes sense that in order to take back control, in order to stop making the mistakes we're making, we got to take the first step, which addresses the issue of control, self-control, self-renunciation, as Tolstoy would go into in his essay. That's why it's the easiest way to control things. So again, think about your bad health, your health challenge, rather. I'm sorry, don't say what. Scratch that other one. Your health challenge, if you've got one, especially if it's developed a tumor, then think of it as cleaning a 10 pounds worth of dirt inside on your rug. And you got a high-speed cleanser that will do it 10 times faster than the other, and then you turn it off otherwise, and then it just stays there doing potential harm. And the last thing you want is to damage a cell and then have it mutate, and that's what causes it to be cancerous. Now, the cancer doesn't get up and go and spread. The problem is systemic because the lymph system surrounds everything. So what's the most obvious suspect? The most obvious suspect is the sewage system, the cesspool we're floating in. Our cells are floating in. And if we're not careful, it's going to back up into the cells. And then we have experts that study the cells and the tissues, and they know all about those. They don't even know the rest about the body. I'm only going to study this, but I'm not going to know what's on the other side. We're only going to study the blood. Give me your blood. Give me your blood. Don't study the elimination part. Don't study the bathroom. Don't teach nutritionists about the elimination of the food. Well, wait a second. If you're saying we should eat meat, doesn't that matter if it takes 3 days to go through us? What? Why aren't they teaching our so-called experts that? Why is there so much confusion in nutrition? Why is our medical system such a failure? Why is it the most expensive and one of the worst? By design, if you want to control the masses, you use the worst possible system to deal with these problems, and then you pass laws and give them a monopoly. That's what a sick society does to keep it where it's at. So our collective shadow is keeping us where we're at. The darkest of the dark side of our behavior is controlling us. by keeping us sick. So that means there's a simple solution to turn this all around, isn't it? All of us have to wake up and change what we're doing. The only problem is it's not easy to keep doing what you need to do and then not slip up and do something that's real close to it. And what I'm talking about is eating solid food. If you're going to say, I'm going to eat more of the good stuff and less of the bad stuff, well, good luck. As long as you're eating, period, you're going to be tempted to eat the bad stuff. How do you control this section of your life? You don't feed it. You unwind that cable. You do nothing but a solid food vacation. Drink a gallon or two of freshly made juice, 4 liters, 8 liters of freshly made juice, and watch how that will transform your body. It will clean out the colon, which will clean out the blood and the lymph and the whole body, and we might need to do something extra. And I mentioned this in my other videos about how we have 2 groups of needs. We've got to remove the primary causes and by satisfying our essential needs, but then there's a ripple effect, and now we have subsequent causes, subsequent needs. The subsequent causes aren't going to go away overnight. We can change what we do overnight, and those primary causes will be gone immediately. But the subsequent causes may take a while. So there's a time and a place to take certain things to support the body if it's not working. That's the only tricky part about correcting these mistakes, is that there are 2 groups of needs now we must satisfy. Life used to be real simple. Only had 1 group of needs, but once we damaged our body, that's what created the other group of needs. That's why problems are unique. People say, why am I sick? Can't blame this because they're doing it, they don't have it. Well, not everybody has symptoms the same way, and everybody's lymph system is at different toxicity levels. Once it goes above a certain saturation point, it goes off. Imagine having a crapometer for your lymph system, and if it goes above 100, it's got to let off pressure and go back into the tissues. They just go out the sinus areas of the nose, common cold, yep, flus, okay. What about the lungs? Oh, pneumonia, okay. Comes out the skin, all sorts of names for those, psoriasis and eczema and all sorts of skin rashes. What do you think that is? Your body's using your skin to get rid of this garbage because it's backing up. So it's not complicated at all. Don't let that toxicity load go above 100. Don't even have it go up at all. So this is why someone right next to you could be eating the same thing, and little Susie comes in with this extra germ, and one person goes above the saturation point, the other one goes, well, I'm here, now I'll go up to here. And once you go above here, okay, gotta let off steam. Release all that excess mucus and garbage out through our nose. So this is complicated to our so-called experts. It's a mystery to our so-called experts because they're misdirected. They don't study the bathroom. They don't look at the obvious suspect that surrounds every cell in our body, which is the lymph system. So once we go on a solid food vacation, we have to make sure we monitor what comes out of us. We got to look at our urine, make sure our kidneys are filtering. You don't want clear fluid in your kidneys because that means your kidneys aren't filtering. If you're drinking that much juice, you're going to see some color to your urine. And then what comes out the other way will blow your mind. And you have to make sure you squat when you defecate. A lot of people don't know that, but more and more people are realizing that there's a bend in the colon that means we're not going to get a good evacuation. So those are the main things. The biggest mistake I find when I coach people are the hardest problem that people encounter, even though they may be trying to do what they know they should. They just can't seem to drink enough juice. So it's important to drink a minimal amount of juice to be able to get the results you need to see. If you don't put enough fluids through the system, you won't loosen anything up to get rid of it, and then you won't have the energy to feel good throughout the day. And you want this to be a positive experience, so you support your organs of elimination the best way you can. And I go into more detail on that in a seminar I uploaded. That's the first of my 3-step process. So go down to the description box if you want to learn more about what I just started talking about now, about how to go on a solid food vacation. Everything else, the art of healing, as I like to call it, or the art of solving problems that are 100% within their control, is very individualized, and that's where and that's where each and every one of us really play an active role in becoming our own detective, so to speak, our own doctor. Because healthcare is self-care. We got to evaluate what we're doing, what kind of results we're getting, be flexible. If we can't use the high speed, then we go to the slow speed. And then we have even more resolve to make it work. And it can work. Just won't be as fast, but at least we're going the right way. You don't want to ever turn your vacuum cleaner off when you have some really dangerous acid buildup in your system that can damage cells when it reaches that high saturation point. And why suffer? It only makes sense. We want to get rid of this as fast as our body will allow us, and of course that also includes our willingness to do it. So it's one of the best things to do to get motivated is to understand the benefits by doing it, and then also what happens if I don't do it. And that's where I like to have people make a list of 5 pain-inducing questions to help them stay focused. And I can thank Anthony Robbins for that. He explains how it's the pleasure and pain that motivates us, and pain is a really good motivator. And you want to think of things that are really personal to you, so that what happens if I don't do this? What happens if I don't get rid of this tumor? What's it going to mean in my life? If I don't make these changes, what's going to happen? What are the negatives? But most importantly, what are the positives? Those are the things that really should get us motivated. And so one of the best things you can do is go to one of my videos that is an interview of Dr. Roba. I was coaching him, and he was on day 21 of my first step. And he was being interviewed on the radio by these 2 women, and you could tell by the excitement in his voice how positive this experience was and how everyone around him is benefiting from it. So that's the great thing about this, is not only are you going to make your life better, but you're going to be able to influence a lot of people around you by being an example. And that's how we stay motivated. That's how we stay on this hero's journey, is we share the message. And the true enjoyment of life comes when you can share information this powerful that can help people who are suffering. There's no better feeling in the world to know that we can help people who are suffering and have them not suffer. And there's too many people suffering on this planet, and we don't want anyone to suffer. No one, because we're all one. And that's what we're missing. That's why that first mistake is so deadly. We don't feel that connection anymore. We don't feel each other's pain like we should. I feel your pain, and I don't like it, and I want to help. I've got great information. I know a solid food vacation is what your body wants more than anything else. And I know the battle between addictions and denial and how the people who need this the most will end up fearing it the most. And I also know that many of us actually have to hit rock bottom before we do anything like this. In fact, you're going to hear a lot of people's testimonials of that's exactly where they were. So get motivated with a strong enough why you can bear anyhow. And listen to the Dr. Roby interview. Go down to the description box below and you'll see his interview. And then you can go to my seminar, and then you can take this first step. It's going to be the most exciting experience of your life. People tell me, well, how long do I go? And I said, well, I don't know. Take it one day at a time. But if you're lucky, it'll take you 2 years. Because it's going to be a great experience the whole time. The longer you get into it, the more you realize how much your body needs this. It needs a rest. It needs a vacation. It needs to get rid of this acid built up so that our cells are no longer swimming in filth. Why do we suffer as a species? We're literally floating in filth. Our society is a reflection of the sewage system we swim in. And we can change society by changing the system or the lymph system that we float in. So get excited. Test an idea as time has come. And when you do, you're in for a treat.